Yeah, a local person I became friends with in Morocco. I like the feeling of being welcomed, and that's why I thought this place was great. I really like these kinds of hanging pendant lights. Welcome, please come in. I'm Tatsuya Suzuki, a hair and makeup artist. My wife is the one who likes to look at properties, and she always gives me various suggestions, but I'm the type who tends to just say, oh, this one's good, and decide on it. The location of this room is like the tip of a triangle in the building. The good sunlight was the first thing that made me think. This room was great. I also thought the number of rooms was just right, so that's why we decided on this place. I believe that's how it all came together. Many of these things have a story, like where they were made, what era they're from, and so on. I really enjoy the stories behind these kinds of items. Rather than trying to intentionally create a unified collection, it's more like they just naturally came together over time. The first thing everyone says when they come in is, wow, so many plants. I like the feeling of being greeted by the plants. That's why I think it's so nice. This is where the TV is. I use this space for things like online meetings. These pots and vases. This one was a gift. My wife does pottery, and this is a piece by her master potter. It's so beautiful that I wanted to display it here. Sometimes we change its location, but occasionally it falls and breaks during earthquakes, and we have to replace it. This piece is by Mona Kasi. I had the opportunity to work with her in the past during a shoot that focused on her dual roles as a model and a painter. I've always thought Mona Kasi's work was absolutely wonderful. When I attended her exhibition, I told her how much I wanted this particular piece. And in the end, I decided to purchase it. She kindly let me have it, and now it's with me. It's such a stunningly beautiful painting, and I feel incredibly lucky to own it. This was given to me by Leslie Key, a photographer who had a close relationship with my former master, someone I originally worked as an apprentice under. When I was assisting my master and happened to help Leslie during his move, he said to me, "Tatsuya, I don't need this anymore. Would you like to have it?" That's how I ended up with it. There are actually 2 of these, along with other small items. These pieces were collected from various countries during different times, picked up at flea markets that caught his attention. They come from all sorts of places, not just one specific region. Oh, I really like old photo books. I tend to prefer the older ones, but I also enjoy the ones from the late 90s to early 2000s. They have a unique charm. This one is The Face, which was around before it eventually became ID magazine. I often use books like this during meetings as references, saying things like, let's try something inspired by this, or bring this along. It's a great example, or even, wasn't this such an interesting concept? For instance, this 1999 issue of The Face is amazing. If something like this were released today, people might question, can they really do that? And that's exactly why it grabs our attention. It's bold, unexpected, and much more intriguing. These cushions are from Morocco. These are cushions I picked up in Morocco when I was buying rugs and other items. They're some of my favorite pieces. This is an original piece from that era by Pierre Jeanneret, who was a student of the renowned architect Le Corbusier. It's likely been repaired locally in India to preserve its condition. But I have a real appreciation for old items like this. They have so much character. This particular chair was originally designed for residential use, specifically for activities like having meals. The one over there, on the other hand, was created as a business chair. And you can see how its shape has a truly distinctive and functional design. And this light is made by Herman Miller company designed by George Nelson. I like these kinds of hanging pendant lights. and I have them over here as well. I like that kind of thing. The bedroom itself is pretty plain, but this rug, it's not really a decoration or anything. Maybe it's more of a hobby of mine. My wife was contacted by someone she became friends with while she was in Morocco. They're working on preparing for an upcoming pop-up shop that they occasionally organize. Right now, we're in the process of cleaning and getting everything ready for it. I'm really into interior design, and this chair here is by Finn Jewel, a Danish designer. This area has become a sort of hobby corner for me, where I can enjoy pieces that inspire me. It's a bit cluttered with works by photographers and painters, but that's the kind of space it is, a mix of various creative influences. I really like fabrics and have collected quite a variety over time. This one, for instance, is so special that it's often displayed in frames at museums. Even though I've casually placed it here, it's one of my most treasured favorites. I'm particularly drawn to things that have been crafted by hand, where you can feel the care and effort people have put into making and preserving them. These here are works by my friend Taishi, who does sumi-e painting and calligraphy. They're also among my favorite pieces. One of them is titled Hair, which ties directly into my work. The moment I saw it, I immediately knew it was perfect and had to have it. I have a variety of items here, but this one is by Daniel Johnston, an artist and musician admired by Kurt Cobain. He was a unique older gentleman who sadly passed away a few years ago. This piece is hand-drawn, and it's truly one of a kind. Apparently, it was drawn spontaneously for the 20th anniversary of a US supermarket called Orange Center. It's one of my favorite pieces. Over here, this is an original photograph, though it doesn't have a signature. It was taken by the renowned photographer Helmut Newton and features Isabel Huppert, an actress, she's from Italy I think, when she was still very young. There are probably still a few copies of this photograph out there, but if it had a signature, it would undoubtedly be one of the most valuable items in the collection. I remember buying this when I was still working as my master's assistant. I even borrowed a bit of money from him at the time to go to a photo exhibition, where I bought it. It's probably one of the very first pieces I ever purchased, and remains one of my absolute favorites. And then over here we have the plant area. This is the table where I usually sit every morning to have coffee and eat breakfast. The plants you see weren't like this when I first got them. Initially, I bought just one platycerium, which came with a single small shoot. But I arranged and built this setup myself. It was during the COVID period, around April 2 years ago, when I had a lot of free time. I decided to give it a try, and I found it surprisingly fun. I kept buying more plants and attaching them together, adding more and more over time. Before I knew it, the whole arrangement had grown larger than my head, and now it's reached its current size. I think having plants in a room really helps refresh your mood. Even when staying at home, they create a relaxing atmosphere, which makes a big difference. This photo, which blends seamlessly with the space, was taken by my good friend, photographer Tetsuo Kashiwada. It captures the aftermath of the massive Australian wildfires caused by global warming. He went there alone, negotiated with the locals, and photographed the burned trees left behind after the fires. What's fascinating is that the trees started regenerating afterward. The theme of his work revolves around destruction and regeneration. The powerful message it conveys and the emotions it stirs drew me to it. It's incredibly moving and thought-provoking. The place gets fantastic sunlight and it's located in Gakugei Daigaku. It's not that I'm a huge fan of Gakudai itself, but the accessibility is excellent. Since I often need to move around Tokyo for work, the location is really convenient for me. When it comes to the apartment itself, the great sunlight is a big plus, and the fact that it's pet friendly means I can live here with my cat, which is a huge bonus.